Hello, I'm Nate Fossey. So we started off using the assignment operator to define objects, and we're going to continue that. You'll see a little bit of script here. I'm going to actually take some of this out of view simply to clarify what our next step is. And I actually should say, when I had defined objects earlier, I should say that the explanandum is that which is explained, and the explanans is the object, is the definition. So when you think about that distinction with an object, an explanans in philosophy or linguistics is that which is being explained. The explanandum is the explanation of that. That's important when we think about this purpose of this assignment operator, particularly when we load packages into R. Now remember, I had commented out actually some earlier script because we always want to load our package, and we see that we have our Mosaic package here. I'm going to remove these objects here. And within the Mosaic package, we actually have some data sets available, and I'm going to show that to you. And I'm going to show you today our main goal in the next minute or two is how to load one of the principal data sets used in the Mosaic project, which is this help RCT, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But the point is that a lot of packages have with them data that are installed, and we can actually list all of the packages that we have, and we're going to have quite a few because we installed Mosaic, and it installs a lot of other packages as well. And you'll see printed out right here in a new tab actually a lot of data sets. So we see data sets in the package data sets, for example. That's just another package that provides a lot of data. Data sets in the package Mosaic. There are quite a few. The one we're going to focus is on this help RCT, this health evaluation and linkage to primary care. RCT stands for randomized controlled trial. It's an experiment. But you'll see there are some other data sets as well. And this is a great resource for R, actually. In fact. And what you can do is you can actually, the way R works, this is not the best coding practice. If I wanted to just load this data set, I could actually, well, it looks like I just printed it, so I'm going to actually clear this. I actually want to use the data function. If you want to load this package, this data set frame, you can do that, and I'll show you what that looks like. You'll see that it looks like something that is not exactly defined in your environment, and the environment is simply the place where you place all your objects. It doesn't look like it's defined as a data set. You're not really sure what it is. Well, you can use this command the function called class to ask, well, what class of object is this? And you'll see, for example, that it's defined as a data frame. Data frame is R speak, R jargon for data sets. It's a tabular data set. It's something with columns or variables and rows or observations. So we know this is a data frame. In fact, once I asked it as a class, you'll see that RStudio read it in. Well, that's fine, but we don't really want to do it that way. I think a better way to read in a data frame is to read it in as an object. So you'll see that I use this assignment operator. This is why I started with the assignment operator. You want to have whatever you're going to call your data frame. And again, for naming conventions, don't make it too long. It's not going to be readable. Don't use too many run-on words. This is my data set, and I like it. It's a little bit harder to read. The best approach is to use R programming. I believe the term is dotted programming. The point here is you can use data frame Mosaic. You can say help RCT. Why don't we just call it that? And you can also use caps as well. That might help. But the point is you have the name of the data frame, which is arbitrary. In fact, we're just going to keep it short because I don't like to type too much. We're going to use the assignment operator. We're using this data frame function. It's a base function. There are other ways to do this. And then we're going to have this data set called help RCT that we identified using our data argument, essentially, our data function argument. That'll print all the data sets that you have available. And we can see that we have it here. And if you want the perfect name, you might have to make sure that you have everything case sensitive. You have to have it perfect because R is case sensitive. So we want to make sure we capitalize all of the letters in help. And we're going to read this in as a data frame. And you'll see that R will read this in as data. And let's go back to this little object we defined, this little string, you could say, which is a piece of text. You'll see that it separates data in values, which you wouldn't do if we read in this help RCT as a data frame, and we can reread it if we want. You'll see it's stuck over under values. Well, that's not very helpful, in fact, because we really want to define our data frame in a particular way. And we want to define it as what is called a local data frame, where we're basically defining our data frame within our environment. Here we have it. I'm going to remove the values that are defined, and so the third function we want to do is, if you want to remove objects, I'm teaching you quite a bit today just because this knowledge is pretty relevant. You just type the RM, letters RM for remove. You can in fact separate commands by the semicolon. I prefer not to do that. Google agrees with me. And you'll actually see that help RCT actually sort of read in as a data file. But the point is you can actually remove objects, whether they're data frames or whether they are strings. And I can show you that explanans is not a data frame. It's different. We'll use the class function. Explanans. It's a character, right? So it basically says, I call it string because it's text, but it says it's a character. It's not anything else. We want to remove these. So now that we just are left with our data frame. So the point is that we learned quite a few functions, right? Class tells us what kind of object is this, and we learned of 2, we have 3. There's a numeric one we didn't really focus on, but we did that last time. There's a character function class of objects, and then there are these data frames, and these are simply the data sets. That just prints us and tells us what's going on. Remove removes the name of the object, and the main point is I want us to get used to doing this, to actually defining our data frames as objects. I think it's good practice. It's not the only way to do it. You can type it out, but this is just good hygiene, I would say. I would call it data hygiene. So here we loaded in our data set, and if you want proof, I'm going to give you one more command called the view function. We're going to define this as view df, and we'll see that we have a data frame here. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we'll get to exploring your data next. Thank you very much.